Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Piano Tech Radio Hour. Good to see you all. Main spotlight video here while we're getting going. Today's going to be an interesting session. I am streaming to you live from a artist residency that I'm participating in called Jurasi Artist Residency. A little bit more on that as we let the episode unfold. I'm in a little booth here, a little sort of phone booth for lack of a better term, at the residency, but there's many more square miles of fun here than this little phone booth. I'll see if I can get my camera out the window real quick. Show you a little bit of my context. Get the cable figured out here. Got some other people arriving as well to make sure they come in. So let's see if we can take a look at the context here. So outside this little booth is it's actually a converted barn, and I don't know if we can see out the window here. I have some other pictures lined up. So you just see light pouring in through all those windows, but outside of there's a beautiful mountain range, and there's lots of nature around here. It's 600 acres of property in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Larry, I'm not far from very close. Maybe you should drop by. Actually, we gotta see if you want to come over for a visit. But yeah, we're in the Santa Cruz Mountains, Woodside, California, near Redwood City. As well as Palo Alto, San Francisco are all within a couple hours of here. So it's a beautiful area. And what I chose to do is a little bit of an interview with one of the fellow residents today. But before we get into that, and as people continue to roll in, I will do an official intro to the session. And then we get rolling into it. Give me 1 second there. More people popping in. So yes, welcome everyone to Piano Tech Radio Hour. When people entering, just a distraction. Each week we gather together here, as many of you know, to meet with and learn from the most fascinating and knowledgeable folks in the piano world, including manufacturers, rebuilders, musicians, makers of other instruments, other things, of course, piano techs. Our mutual goal is to become better at a craft, to help each other, and to create an ever more musical world together. Piano Tech Radio Hour is brought to us by Piano Technicians Masterclasses. That's an online learning resource bringing you cutting-edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. You can find out more about that at pianotechniciansmasterclass.com. And as I often do, I will put some links in the chat here just to give you some general information about some things that have been going on, will be going on, and whatnot. But basically, if you would like to attend these sessions like this every week, you can do so easily by signing up for Piano Tech Radio Hour. It's a modest monthly $16, helps to support the program and give you access to attend these live sessions with a quick link in your email, as well as access to recordings in our member area. And the link to that is, oops, my message is too long. I guess let me split it up to 2 pieces. I'm also going to put in some links for you guys to some recent master classes that may be of interest. We had a master class with Doug Gregg on nicks and dent repair. We had a master class with Chris Brown on action regulating, especially using his regulation station. We had another master class with Chris Brown on French polishing. we had a master class with the great David Clavins on steel frame piano design. So lots of good stuff going on. That stuff you can get a kind of one-off access to, or if you're a subscriber, every third Thursday of the month, we have a prepared program for you that goes a bit deeper than we go here in Piano Tech Radio Hour, so you can keep up on your piano education and keep up to date on what's going on. So yeah, I think what I'll do now is give a little bit more. I don't think I'm gonna give too much more. I'll give a little bit more context of where I'm at today in Gerasi Artist Residency, but then we'll roll right into the interview. It's actually hot off the presses. I just did this interview like an hour or two ago with one of my fellow residents. She wasn't available to join the program live, but it's about as fresh as you can get without being live. And it's a very unique artist out of Mexico who also spent some time in New Orleans. And she's doing a project that's piano related, but very creative. And as much of art is meant to do, it makes us think a little bit differently about the world. And so I think without further ado, I'm going to bring that interview up. I'll do a screen share on that. And you guys can hear from today's guest. Her name is Paulina Sierra, and I'll do a more extensive intro of her once we share the screen. We'll just double check and make sure that I've got it set up appropriately for viewing. Yeah.
Okay, hello everyone. Today I'm going to bring you something very unique, but piano related. And you know me, sometimes I like to go off the rails a little bit, and it's not all about tuning techniques and regulation and refinishing and things like that. But today will be very interesting because we're going to talk a little bit about music. And we're going to talk about art and creativity, which I think is close to all of our hearts. And I'm going to share with you a little bit of something that is personal about me. I'm attending an artist/scientist residency right now. It's called Gerasi. It's a month-long residency for people who integrate the arts and sciences. And it's been around since, I don't know, the 80s, I think, and founded by a guy named Carl Gerasi, who was a scientist actually that basically invented birth control. And he also happened to be a creator, like to write plays and books and things like this. So today I am with one of my fellow residents here who's we've become connected because we have a fellow passion for music in some ways and also the environment.
Yeah.
And this studio actually, I'll move to the side slightly. There is a piano under a sheet over there, or actually a formal piano cover. And about 8 years ago, I was in this very studio in this same residency as kind of like the musical person, right? And kind of playing on not that piano. They had a different one here. But let me make an introduction to my friend sitting next to me. Her name is Paulina Sierra. She was born in Mexico and obtained a bachelor's degree in graphic design at Universidad Iberoamericana in Mexico City. Usually involved with the interactive media art music scene, she started to experiment with software at different multimedia companies in Mexico City. And tired of the bidimensionality the screen provided, she decided to experiment with objects, space, and the multiplicity of media, where she graduated with honors from the MFA in Digital and Media Department at the Rhode Island School of Design, a very prestigious art institution. As a former resident of New Orleans, Louisiana, here in the United States, for a number of years, under an O1 visa, You can find her in Mexico City, teaching in several areas of design in different colleges, freelancing and developing her artistic projects nationally and abroad. And her website is paulinasierra.com. That's 2 R's in Sierra. And her work is ignited by impossibility and the social interaction generated around them. The risk starts with a fixation in objects or technologies that perform certain functions around them and examine their essence by challenging the nature of that intended purpose. The idea behind the interaction is decreasing the standardization of the mind, and especially when the strict and determined objective of a machine is questioned, which is very appropriate for what we're doing today. Like, we're kind of questioning Piano Tech Radio Hour in a sense by bringing this story today. This allows us to disrupt a stable system and, with some luck, a hybrid association that creates the possibility for a new dialogue. Her interests usually evolve around technique or technology, migration as a multicultural discourse, displacement, reconfiguration, and resilience within structures. These are issues she tends to explore by the malleability of the digital media, machinery and mechanisms, physical computing, sound, sculpture, and installations. And a wonderful biography for you to get us started. And I wonder if I can start by lifting your little piano here.
Sure.
And here, I'll handle it. And so this is kind of the reason why we're talking to Paulina today. It's not our typical piano, is it? And there's quite an interesting story behind why she has built this piano, and it is actually not theoretically functioning yet. It's probably functional. You could probably plug it in, right,
Yeah.
to like a battery pack, but she's not doing that for a very special reason. I'm not sure, is this glued together at this point?
Yeah, no, but it can actually, no, not all of it.
Okay. Yes, that's what I was wondering, if we could see.
And you can
s-
take it off.
Yeah. You could take the circuit board out?
Yep.
Go for it. Oh, I'd take it all out. Yeah, and so this is actually a device, it's not something you designed or anything
No,
like
no,
that.
no, it's on the on the market.
If anybody's interested, I guess you can get this Kitronic thing.
It's the Kitronic clef piano.
Kitronic clef piano. So it's unassuming. It looks like you maybe only have one octave here to play with, but these up and down buttons here would allow you to change octaves and play around in different areas. And actually, as part of Paulina's project here, hopefully I'll get a chance to goof around on this piano when it works. So this is kind of part of why I thought this would be relevant to us today. But I guess, Paulina, I want to get into like your background and stuff like that. But first, let's just jump straight into like this project and, I don't know, why a piano, and maybe tell us a little bit of what I've been alluding to, that there's more to this that will also show the viewers.
Well, basically, I thought about energy being a constant, and I thought, well, we give that as a fact that we turn on the any switch, and the immediacy that it's required for our human desires is incredible, no? And then I thought, what if this didn't happen? What if I turn a switch on and then nothing would happen? Then what would it require for us to work with more mutualistic or other ways of extracting and storing and using energy with other species? So that was the idea. And I just looked for microbial fuel cells, which I thought they were pretty cool and amazing, which are these mud cells, or there are cells that are used, the soil, the microorganisms within the soil create this chemical, you see here.
Like a potentiality, like a potential energy, a chemical imbalance kind of?
Yeah, you can use them. You put mud and then you put 2 carbon, a anode and a cathode. And then the way that they munch up on the soil and whatever substances or nutrients that are in the soil, they breathe, and as they breathe, they create this incredible connections that create energy.
Right, like an electrical potential, basically. They're
exactly,
batteries.
Exactly.
All right,
They
now-
create a battery, yeah.
Right. So to recap here, and I think we're going to show this now, which is also kind of an interesting part of all this. She's built a battery, but this is battery like none you've probably ever seen before. So it's a mud battery, right?
It's a
Is that
mud
what you-
battery,
is that
pretty
what you call
much.
it? So you probably didn't know that you could run a battery on mud, but this is a possibility. And I guess just for the sake of being thorough here, like, is this special mud or is this just any mud? You like picked it out from the creek here, and it was a beautiful 600-acre property.
Yeah. Well, yes, this place is perfect for doing this kind of experiment because it's rich soil. It has to be, it doesn't necessarily have to be by the creek, but I think it's the most that has more sediments, I
Okay.
guess. That was my guess.
Okay.
And it does require it for you to become a little bit like a mud savant.
Okay.
Because like it's either not too watery, but then it's not too dry, and it's just like playing it by the ear a
Okay.
little bit. It's like tuning
Okay.
a little bit the mud in order for it to work.
Have you made these batteries before?
Yeah, I've
You
tried them
have?
in
Okay.
Mexico. Yeah,
Got it. So you have a sense of the tuning of the mud.
a little bit, but it will require more time for sure. Yeah.
And then, from my understanding here, like you said, there's some sort of and is there a layer of?
There's mud, then there's a filter, which I have somewhere, but it's a felt carbon filter, and then there's mud again, and then there's another filter. And these have wires that come up, and then they go into a small circuit.
Yeah.
And they are connected to a capacitor and to an LED.
Right. And the LED is just there to let you know when it's ready,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's a low power draw.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna blink on, and you say, oh, so now, because right now there's a tiny bit of electricity you said
Yeah, it
flowing
is.
through it. This has been sitting for how many days?
For 5 now.
5 days, right? So just in 5 days, even there's still not enough electrical potential to actually run this little piano, but there is a little bit.
Yeah.
And then my understanding, you said, is this a little bit kind of unexpected. At some point, this little light will pop on, and we go, oh wow! And then you said there's a limited amount of time that it's
Yeah.
just like any battery. The microbes probably they're active for a certain amount of time. They reach some sort of critical mass, but then they also decay and decline.
It seems to be so far what I've looked, no,
Okay.
in the experiments that I've been running in Mexico.
And then can we show the battery pack?
Like
Can I
all
have
of
the
them
whole?
together?
Can I hold that up? So that's just one of all of the batteries that are going to be required to run this little piano. Here, I'll hold it so that it doesn't get messed up. So this is a whole pack of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different batteries, and the idea is they will have to. I think you said this is more than you need, maybe slightly,
Yeah.
but
I did just to be on the safe side.
right. But you would need multiple of those to run the little piano that we saw. And so it's kind of interesting. It's not only an experiment in the running the piano, but it's like getting your hand. It's kind of like you said. You're taking something we take for granted and turning it on its head. And so we're learning about really how much it takes. Like we so take for granted that we can take a little battery and pop it in a thing and play a little piano for a little bit, and it runs out. We grab another battery and everything's fine. What if you had to kind of create this type of potential from the mud or the resources you have around you? Yeah.
For everything. Imagine that you want to power your cell phone, then you have to go to the creek and then do the same. And they are in a cart because I've been
Dragging them
around
Yeah, there's a
the
little-
whole compound.
There's a little string here attached to it, so that it's kind of like your pet.
Because in a way, you have to be aware when this moment happens. which is a rarity,
Yeah.
you know, like they're working for you, and then you have to be subservient to them in order for them to produce what you want from them. And I think that's an amazing when you question the structures of power.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think also, of course, this is a pro acoustic piano sort of demonstration, I think, which is interesting about this is, you know, as piano technicians and people who take care of the acoustic pianos, you know, that whole world is shifting. And a lot of it is because there's electronic instruments and people can just go and they can plug that in and they can do all this. And why carry this big gold thing, you know, up a flight of stairs when you can just plug in a little keyboard? But I think that is one of the wonderful advantages that we have with pianos in the piano industry. I mean, aside from maybe a little electronic assistance from our iPhones with an app to tune the piano, we don't even need that, right? Many of us can tune by ear, and you can be off grid. You know, you can have a piano and you can have, you know, solar panels on your house and trying to optimize how much that you're using electricity. And lo and behold, you're going to save a little bit on plugging in that keyboard or the computer that needs to be attached to it to provide the sound. So it's just acoustic piano. Play it. There's no electricity involved.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me, so this is, you know, fascinating, and it's been fun to kind of watch you. You've got a lot of circuits and glue guns and kind of getting your hands dirty here. And of course, there's the this maybe just also tell us how the piano shell was created. It looks like some sort of laser cutting mechanism, and this is just like a cardboard box, basically. Yeah, very cool.
Well, basically, the creators of the Keytronic piano, they also have a place where you can download all this information, and then you can go to any place and then laser cut them.
Very cool. Yeah, that's fun.
It's open source.
Yeah, maybe some of us want a little one of these Keytronic.
Oh, for sure.
You can grab one.
For sure.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your background then. You're born in Mexico, is that correct?
I was born in Mexico City.
Okay. And I talked to you a little bit before, but I'd love to share, like, and it's probably kind of similar to some of us as piano technicians. We might have started out wanting to be musicians and going to music school or not, and then I have to make a career. I've got to, piano technology. Oh, there's a way that I can do something that I love and maybe still make a buck. You know, what's been your process of coming to this career? You're basically a full-time artist and, you know, art professor and things like that. How did you get to this point? Did it start off directly at, you know, graduation from high school, or what was the process?
Well, I wanted to be a painter originally. I was interested in doing visual arts for a while, but my dad said, no, you need to have a degree where you can fall upon if something goes bad. And the ones that you have the degree, you can do whatever you want. So I started that, and I went to graphic design for a while. Then I got into professionally doing graphic design. Then that evolved because the scenery was changing, or the scene was changing in terms of interaction and what interactivity was in the 90s. So we got to open like the first, like I worked in Ogilvy Interactive, I worked in Noise Lab.
Ogilvy, that's like a big advertising company. Yeah.
But it was like I was working for American Express doing, but it was the first time it was in Mexico as well. So I guess that part, and then I did visuals for electronic music events, and then afterwards I got tired a little bit, and then I went to RISD to do the masters in digital media and art, and I guess that was exactly the point where I understood. Like my brother even said so at the graduation. It's like, oh, everyone is here is like you. It's like he finally understood. He finally understood that I belong somewhere.
Yeah. By the way, it probably that got on the recording. There's turkeys here that hang out outside this. Yeah, there he is. He's just hanging out right out there outside. Yeah, it's very, as I alluded to earlier, we're kind of in this sort of wild mountain area where they have this residency set up. And there's almost 600 acres of property they have here, and it extends through the forests. And what's really cool about this place, Djerassi, Djerassi, they actually have sculptures all around the property from various artists that have been here. But in addition to all of that, of course, there's animals, and we have a handful of turkeys, wild turkeys that like hanging out and waking us up at 5 in the morning with their gobble gobbles. And there's a bobcat. Yeah, like a real bobcat that sits right outside the window. And it's like being at the zoo, but you're on display to the bobcat, I think, kind of. Yeah, there's other animals around here too. But yeah, so there may be more gobble gobbles coming soon. So that's really, it's wonderful that you've kind of found a place, right, for what your initial intention is.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your father has come to terms with all of this at some point.
Well, he died before knowing that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't
Yeah.
even, well,
No.
there he is.
There
He's figured it out.
Yeah.
But yes, so it's good to see that you found your place, and at least maybe he was comfortable with wherever you were at the time. Yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about, just your time, developing your sense of this. You've mentioned to me you feel like you're a frustrated musician in some senses, and so you said that your work often intersects with music, even though you're not actually, like, you don't actually play the piano or anything like this. Yeah.
No, I was very envious of my brother. He played the guitar like with no prior practicing. Like, it was amazing. And I guess living in New Orleans also influenced me a lot.
Wow, yeah.
Like that, like I knew that music was important, but living in New Orleans, then that's when I understood how people could be so in love and living through music, basically, And I think I fell in love with it, and I guess it was a way of connecting even more to those kind of moments, of celebration or of gloom or whatever it was that music pushes through the town.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was doing there was a show there that it was called Art Melt, and then there was an invitation for works of art. So what I did was I put a bin with ice on the top of it, and then the ice was supposed to melt, and it came through dripping.
Like a tube, yeah.
Yeah, like tubes, and people could actually tune or open or close these nozzles in order to play a drum that was underneath it.
Right, and maybe after I share this video, I might go and share that website with the folks that are paying attention. But just for descriptive purposes, she showed it to me, and so you have like a snare drum and maybe another, and maybe a hi-hat or a cymbal or something, and then it's just like a couple different drums, maybe three different drums, and then above them these tubes that are dripping water, right? So you can imagine the water hits the snare drum, right?
Yeah.
And dripping is rhythmic in and of itself.
Exactly.
But then you have a drip coming on another drum, or a cymbal. So it's like, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And then you could close it or open it and
Make it
then
faster,
make
slower.
it faster or slower.
Yeah, very cool.
But what you were saying, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's just a matter of saying, it's not necessarily that I play an instrument, but my frustration allows it for me to create these moments for people. Like right now, I'm not playing the instrument. I ask you guys, But in that sense, I also bring agency a little bit to other people that might feel daunted.
Right, yeah, and that's very special, I think, especially for, again, us in the music industry, in the piano industry. It seems like there's a bit of a decline in the interest in playing instruments, playing the piano, playing like a violin or things like this. with piano, especially with the acoustic piano, there's a decline in kids learning it. They learn the digital piano instead of the acoustic. But, you know, and we have all of these other things that we do these days to entertain ourselves, Netflix and YouTube and the computer and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they're definitely, you know, I feel, and I think there's also some scientific evidence to back it up, that learning of instruments, that, or even just playing piano as instead of doing something that's more consumerist, it's good for you, you know, it's good
Yeah.
for your brain, it's good for that. And so definitely agree with that sort of direction of cultivating people's interest in music and participating in the creation of music, right? It's not something that should be, oh, you're a musician, I'm not, right? Or you're
Yeah.
a creator, I'm not. You're an artist, I'm not. No, like we all have that in us, and to whatever degree you can or want to, let's give you opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because for a moment, you're a part of this amazing thing. Like when music happens, for that moment of of joy, and you're sitting there. I'm gonna say the wrong word, but it's like ingesting like all this
Sure.
beauty, and you're not doing anything but just in awe of that moment by itself. So it's a miracle in a way.
Yeah.
The fact that we just inhale it and like take it with us and had a great evening for a moment, it just makes us belong.
Yeah, 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 and that's also important, I think, for us. You know, like we talk about the technicalities of taking care of an instrument. That's kind of what our sort of group does. But it's easy to forget the magic, the beauty, the sublime that comes from that activity,
Yeah.
right? It's not about. I mean, we create the ability for the musician to use the instrument to their best potential.
Exactly.
But even more than that, it's more about the gestalt experience of like the music when it happens,
Yeah.
right? Very cool. Well, how, I guess let's shift directions a little bit to just talking about this residency experience too.
Wow.
And have you done many? I'm assuming you've done more than
No.
I have. No?
This is my first
This
one.
is your first. Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Great. My second, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I guess since you have kind of been an artist for a while, you know, went to the Rhode Island School of Design, you know, you're a professor here in
Yeah.
Mexico. Why do you think you haven't done a residency yet?
Well, I applied to thousands,
Huh.
but well, not thousands, but no,
A lot.
but a lot. But I think I don't know. Like for me, this is like a bit of a miracle. The fact that I arrive here and it's beyond any expectation that I could have for a residency, and it sets the bar really high for whatever I'll be looking in the future.
Right.
But I can't say enough of this place. Like it's just the fact that everything. I don't want to sound like a how do you say, like a commercial?
A commercial, yeah.
But it's really been. There has been great conversations with people that are amazing and that they love their craft, and then they are very specific and very knowledgeable of things, no? So it's not that I haven't applied before, it's just that maybe the project wasn't necessarily catered
Right.
or as catered as to the specific residency.
Right.
So maybe that's a little bit tricky in a way
Yes.
of getting that knack.
Yes, yeah. This is a very specific session of this Gerasi residency, and in fact, for many years they didn't do this session as it is. It's a very specific artist, scientist, collaborative type of thing, where people are mixing the arts and sciences. For many years, it was writers and painters and sort of more traditional just arts. And so this is great because it's actually very much in the spirit of Carl Gerasi, the person who founded it, who himself, you know, crossed boundaries and things like that. And yeah, just to give more context, we have a Stanford professor who uses machine learning to analyze art, and has worked for camera corporations developing the imaging technologies and optics for decades. We have a lawyer who just also happens to be a creative writer who kind of goes into communities and learns about their sort of oral histories, and then she brings them to bear. We have
An astrophysicist.
an astrophysicist, right? Collaborating with, what is John Anani?
An artist,
An
yeah.
artist, to create a book about artists and scientists collaborations. It's very meta for this particular thing.
Exactly.
We have an artist who does digital, who takes her paintings and sculptures and converts them into digital format and integrates into this whole digital NFT art sort of movement that's going on. And she was also here previously. Her name's Nicole Buffett, and before she was doing digital art side of things, she was just doing kind of like the organic side. Who else do we have? We have a graduate student, Aisha, right, who's doing sort of
Bio art.
And then we have kind of an environmentalist who's from Colombia but lives in Australia, and she's kind of presenting, she calls it forest ambassadors, like her sort of movement to kind of bring people closer to connecting with the planet and saving it. What did I miss?
Domenica.
Okay. Yeah, Domenica.
She's a science fiction writer, but she sets usually things in the future. So she is knowledgeable of everything. She reads about Poincaré and time, and I don't know. She's amazing.
Yeah, and then one more, and I'm slipping on her name. It's not, so Natalie was the astrophysicist, and then she's right across the way here. She's doing digital art.
It's Teresa. Yeah.
Teresa. She's doing so very interesting. She makes music as well. She's film composing and things like this, but she does digital artwork and music, and it's all sort of influenced by data. And, it's fascinating stuff. But it's a great place. They cook us dinner every night of the weekdays. And lots of great opportunities for conversation and camaraderie, and just like we're doing right now. So I'm curious, when this is a project that, how long is this project in the making? Is this something that you came up with within the past year or a few months, or like what's the history of this?
It was prior to the pandemic. So, and I was struggling to find collaboration for, I wanted to know a little bit more, and then I wanted to reach out to a biologist. I wanted to be more knowledgeable around it, but I was struggling into finding the right time to do it. Mm-hmm. So because when you're teaching, you're mostly teaching, mm-hmm. and then I was struggling with finding time. That was a problem, mm-hmm. the development of it. Uh-huh. And also the technical part, the electronic part of it as well. Right. So it has many components to it. And then also, it's not that in Mexico I don't have a music scene that I could go to, but again, now having the time, and this is what the project is, and when and if it works, because what I said before is true, and it holds true for this project right now, is like, it might work or it might not work.
It might not work.
And if it doesn't work, then what do you say to the artist? Like you acquired as like a certain slot on their time, and then you're like, oh well, it didn't work, so I'm sorry. So I don't know, like it just time. I needed time.
I'm excited for it to work. Yeah, there's a lot of people here who applied because of the pandemic, right? You applied, you got mm-hmm. Kind of accepted. A couple of years ago, right?
A couple years ago,
right?
All of
and
us,
then you had to delay this whole thing due to the pandemic, and so this is the first time people are actually coming back. So a lot of people had a project when they applied, and now they're completely different now because mm-hmm. it's a couple of years later. What about what's next for you? Do you know what's when you leave Drosy? Is it just, back to teaching and then maybe some other projects come to mind? Do you have things percolating or?
I have a practical PhD in my mind. Like I know that I want to do practical work, and that is also like to bring me to the scene again. I have another acoustic piece that I would love to do with. Do you know what a tope is?
Tope?
It's like a bump. Oh, it's a bump on the road.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Got it.
I want to use them, the bumps.
Like the purposeful bump.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like don't
purposeful
drive too
bump.
fast
Yeah,
over
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Okay.
I want to make these bumps to create a rhythmic path.
Okay.
So, but I need, as again, no, like that is hard to do. Where would I find this place, and where, like, and then it would be like going faster or slower, and
Yeah.
having like a beat on a circuit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I never talk about like what I'm gonna do next, but
Yeah.
I think that's a project that I would love to create.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, here's an interesting place to do it, actually, because they have a big long driveway coming in, and various people
true.
have put art on the driveway. Like they have there's a big thing across the road at a bend in the road. It's a very long driveway, and it says "time to reflect" on it when your headlights hit it in the nighttime.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, stuff like that. And I think there's a few little things on the way that they made, like some of the road, how they have lines in the road to tell you where to go. There's a couple things playing around with that. There's a sign, like a yield sign. Did you see that? It says yield to whim. It's just fun. A lot of
I
people
hadn't seen
have
it.
played with the road and done things. So it could be, and I'm imagining right now, it sounds very kind of fun. Like you could be driving along, and then it's like, like.
But also you could, like, I think that it could also have a participation of a musician as well. And then have on your cell phone starting the road, and then you could play, you could push play, and then you could have a collaboration as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, very cool. Well, that sounds fun. Well, I think that covers a lot of like what I wanted to capture with you. I mean, it might be interesting to just
Look around
take the camera off, I guess, and I don't know if, let me see if this will even work that well. We'll see how well. And so this is kind of an awkward thing to try to do, but so this is like her desk and the battery pack that gets built in, and then you can see all the kind of electronics and stuff that she's pulling together to kind of make a mess. And this is what the studio looks like. A little bit better look at it. You can see up there, that window goes into a little loft apartment, which is kind of a fun aspect of this particular studio. Equipped with some records and a record player. And actually, I stole her Wurlitzer. There's a Wurlitzer piano that's in this and as well. And those cupboards right behind me actually have cool stuff like keyboards and instruments that you can kind of play around with. And you probably already saw it, but it's worth going back to. So there's no heat here. It's just the fiery stove if you want to stay warm, right?
Which, by the way, now I've tried, but like I get into working and it's either fire or work, and then when I go back, it's like
the fire goes out.
If it depended on my life, then I would be dead.
Yeah, you would not stay warm enough. Luckily, it's relatively warm here. It's all tolerable temperatures.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's great. I think that's probably enough content on this. Like, we make sure we have people go over to paulinasierra.com to do further research and see what you're up to. Anything else you'd like to leave my piano nerd audience with before we cut?
No, I think it's an honor. Like, I really feel honored that you do this and ask me questions and I think, again, one part of the work that I do is feeling uncomfortable all the time and being in places where I'm not used to. So being in this specific group of people and just getting there, my mind would have not have imagined before coming here. So thank you so much.
Cool. All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, and we're back. So I thought what might be interesting for the remainder here, we do have a tiny bit more time. I suppose if anybody had any questions or comments, of course, you can pop them in the chat for me. Paulina, of course, is wandering around here, but I probably can't find her. She was a bit shy to kind of do a live session. But you know, what I think could be interesting is that I have some photos on my phone, which I might switch over and share screen on my phone, just to give you guys a little bit more context of the residency, because we were talking about what it looks like here, you know, the lay of the land, some of the things that are going on. And so I think I'll do that at least for a few minutes, just give you a little more context on what we were talking about. And then we'll walk out the session. And if anybody had any questions or anything, go ahead and put them in the chat, and I'll respond to those as those questions roll in. Let me get a screen share up here real quick, see if it works. I'm actually quite pleased with the session today because the internet is not always great here. Let's see here. See what happens if I do a screen share. Share. Screen broadcast, start broadcast. Here. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And then try to change the screen angle in a moment. And I'm going to switch my microphone to kind of go specifically from these particular photos. So give me a minute. And if I could minimize this. Okay, great. Let me just switch devices so that I can show you on the device. Gosh, I wish I could, I'm sure I could hide this, but I don't know how. Get out of here, face. All right, well, we'll just deal with it. All right, let me come on my other device for the mic. 1 sec. Okay, perfect. So I can tell it's a little bit choppy for you guys, but it'll give you a sense. This is actually the road that I was talking about coming in.
That's very sweet of you to say.
That she could potentially add those bumps to.
Yeah, that's.
Again, this is a nearly 600 acre property. And so this is just the beginning of the driveway in.
You're having now, which is to see.
Continuing along the
Really
driveway.
clean.
Oh, to the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah. That's the.
They're always kind of.
And again, this is the Santa Cruz Mountains of California. And this looks like a road, but again, this is just a driveway
Yeah, we want to get
into the property that we're on here.
apex summit.
Let's see what's next.
You're having now.
This is arriving. And that's actually the little studio I get to live in right now. Give you a sense. It's a pretty cool little piece of architecture. There's one of my neighbors, Nicole Buffett. And there's my studio. Get a chance to look at what that's like. Little desk, nice view. Basic kind of hotel room amenities. Little bed, little hot pot, a little hot water. And then these are actually some photos I took. This is when we first, a couple days after we got here, when Paulina was still setting her setup. So she's just getting those parts taken out, pulling things together. You can see all the little pieces that come with that kit. And this is actually a programmable circuit board. So you could play it like a little piano, and then, like I said, change the octaves with those now buttons on the left. But I'm gonna try hooking it up to my computer, and I think you could program music to play automatically through it as well. So that'll be kind of fun to play with. Kind of a look at that laser cut cardboard, get a close up of that stuff. Here's a quick little video. And this is before she added the mud to the system and put everything together.
My English is failing me today, but like the first part of the Miro.
Those wheels are for the little cart that she made to hold the bio batteries.
The lower part. So I'm just gonna.
So anyways, this is
just to know, like,
poor man's piano building.
More or less. I don't know. Linus is like working.
So this is the piano that Linus, Lucy, and Charlie are gonna play.
Exactly.
And you're
Those are all the
mounting that apparatus.
raw materials she's working with. Now, this is the turkeys we're talking about. This is a little mama and baby turkey. Might be a little bit hard to see in the brush there, but there's the mama. And the baby's kind of tiny, but you can see the grass rustling around it and maybe get a glimpse. Here it comes. There's the little baby turkey following along. And they're harmless. They don't wake you up in the morning because they don't make that awful gobble gobble noise. There's a bobcat sighting. This is right outside one of the little houses like the one that I'm in. Yeah, not far from us. They're probably more afraid of us than we are of them, but they get pretty close. It's a little shot of the trees nearby. It gets very foggy here, actually. It's been foggy for many, many days. We actually start getting our first sunny days around here. So there's the building where I'm living in the fog. It's kind of the mountainside in the fog. Oh, actually, this barn here on the left. So this is a converted cattle barn on the left there, but it's very large, and there's space for several artists to live and work, have studio space in here. And this is the building that that Paulina and I were in during that interview. In fact, right there on the left, I think that's basically where her room is. Beautiful trees in the fog. And these are just some other kind of looks at the property and what they have here. Really incredible stuff. And this is a little idea of an art installation that's here. So this is just this kind of a fun pretend sign pointing you in different directions. But also there is an actual other art installation nearby. This small sign here says the Estaciones de Luz. The Stations of Light is actually a relatively well-known and bigger installation that they have here. And this is a look at it.
What kind of force would you need to really bring it?
So this building, this structure was built by an artist, and you can actually go inside of it. This is what it looks like when you kind of go underground inside of it, and you get to this center area, which is kind of closed off. You can't tell from the outside what it's going to be like inside. And yeah, they built this whole structure in this sort of underground tunnel system to get into this magical center area, so you can get a sense of what that's like going through these tunnels. And it takes about a half hour to get here from the main property. You have to go down some trails, and it's relatively you know, there's paths and signs that tell you how to get there, but if there weren't paths and signs, you know, you wouldn't even know this was here. I have no idea how long this took to build, but I'm imagining it was on the order of months. And they're coming out the entrance to that particular installation. The stations of light. More turkey time. I'll skip this one because you already saw some turkey in the grass. These are the windows I was trying to show you out of earlier. And there's a turkey hanging out outside. This is a male wild turkey making the gobbling sound outside our windows. Just give you a sense of the property here.
I see what you're saying.
This is about a half-hour hike away from this kind of barn area where I was showing you earlier, where most of the activity is. Oh, hey, I got rid of that. That's good. Really beautiful forest and tree areas.
Yeah, but Whitney's in the Eastern Sierras, which I think are the most beautiful mountains I've ever seen.
There's another look at the property. That's the barn I'm talking about, the converted cattle barn. Just some more photos to give you a sense of the property. Really beautiful out here. A little panoramic. Just walking through a kind of a forest area at sunset, very beautiful. I know it's a little bit choppy on your end, but you can even still get the magic of these really incredible trees that are around here. Another panoramic photo, a little sunset, beautiful sunsets. Here's Paulina explaining her project at a Friday dinner where they invite people from outside to check things out.
Amazing, amazing. And we have here the works of Dominika. Maybe, would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
You know, we're almost finished here, so I'll just get through these. There's another photo of her presentation. Another sunset. Another look at a turkey. They seem to like hanging out outside the windows, and they want to see what's going on. All right, so I'll stop the screen share. Hope you guys appreciate a little taste of what's going on over here, and try to keep you updated on the experience and everything that's happening. I'll stop the screen share and we'll wrap things up. All right. Mute myself on this other device. Okay, all right. So yes, this basically concludes another hour of Piano Tech Radio Hour, another Saturday. Thanks a lot for joining us. I'll do our official outro. Any questions, comments, or anything like that, let us know. And we'll try to follow up, email or something like that. Basically, you know, we've reached the end of another musical journey here at Piano Tech Radio Hour. So thanks for Paulina for sharing her story with us, as well as everybody that joined today. As always, we're brought to you by Piano Technicians Master Classes, cutting edge instruction for piano industry masters without leaving your home. For those of you that joined us today by signing up for this session individually, you can make your life more convenient. You could subscribe to Piano Tech Radio Hour, just $16 a month. Get the recording of today's session in our member area, automatic registration for each week's new session. You can sign up at bit.ly/joinptrh. That's bit.ly/joinptrh. And I put some links in the chat, of course, previously, which I think most of you still have there, how to get access to some recent master classes that we've done. Subscribe to both the radio hour, but you could also subscribe to our master classes. $79 a month options, pretty good one. You'll be able to attend every third Thursday of the month. We have a new master class with engaging and educational and profitable topics that you'll be happy to learn more about. All right, folks, we'll let you go for today. Thanks again for joining. Bye-bye.